Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Apologies for those technical difficulties. We're not sure what's happened from our end. Everything seemed to have been good, but not too sure what's happened there, so apologies if you did miss the sprint race. Not sure. We were said to be live, but hopefully we can get that reinstated. But anyway, if you didn't hear it, welcome to the Invictus Racing League. We're here for the Miami Grand Prix. Of course, Mikey in the commentary box with me. We've just witnessed the full sprint race, full of action, full of drama as well. But hopefully we can try and get that reinstated on the YouTube channel. But anyway, how are you, Mikey?
I'm very good, buddy. Just obviously after watching that sprint race, quite interesting. Quite a busy one. I imagine the lads and the stewards will be pretty busy with that. But other than that, it was a really good bit of racing, to be fair. So, but other than that, you all good, mate?
Yeah, very well, very well. Especially after enjoyable sprint race, 10 laps, a few laps under safety car, of course, but still some good action to come. 29 laps here around the streets of Miami, but weather's looking dry, so we should have a pretty simple race. But safety cars are quite a common thing around the track like Miami, and we have just seen one of them come out for the Sprint Grand Prix, so could be definitely fluctuations in the strategies coming the driver's way. But in your view, what do you think is the most optimum strategy around here, Mikey? What do you think is the best way to get across the tracks of Miami?
Hard. I'd stick to more of a hard medium sort of setup. Me personally, say I'd start on the mediums. Obviously on Monday I started on the hards. Look back as sometimes I shouldn't have, but I'd say probably start on the mediums. Say if safety car comes out, say a few laps in, throw on the hards. You should be able to get to the end. Do the last 17 laps. Oh, there we go. Lights about to go out.
Absolutely. Well, we're about to start now, the Miami Grand Prix. Here it's lights out and away we go. MDJ, of course, is on pole after the win in the sprint, but here comes Jack. Jack tries to take the lead. MDJ has to just sit back behind as there's a bit of fluctuation in the back. Yes, Jack takes the lead of the Miami Grand Prix, followed by Bashi with Malc and JPH for the top 5. But it's dream start for Jack. As we see Jack come through these corners. What did you see, Mikey? Anything at the back?
I'm not sure. Just seen an end plate flying in the air, so I'm not really sure who it belongs to be honest. I'm just trying to go through all the all competitors this evening, see who might be missing a front end plate.
Absolutely. We see now a few battling behind. Who's that? That's Merck just staying ahead. Merck, in fact, getting ahead of Bashi. There's a bunch of cars going very wide off the track there. I believe that's with Ricky Maru, JPH and Atsu. Now coming into this tight and twisty corners, there's a yellow flag. Who's that? I think that's a Mercedes. Is that a Mercedes or is that an Alpine? I think it's an Alpine. It's a VSC. So who is that gone in the back? I believe that's Ginger. Ginger Tiger spun around, and there it is. A front wing missing for that Alpine, but it leads from Jack, with MDJ following behind with Merck, Bashi and Ricky Muru, the top 5. VSC is deployed, but we will see probably a pit stop, of course, coming from Ginger Tiger's way. But majority of the drivers choosing the medium and hard tyre compound. No one on the softs as we restart the Grand Prix. MDJ gets a brilliant launch off that restart and tries to fight back now with Jack. Does he have enough to take it? Not enough. No, he is on the harder tyre now compared to Jack. So not as much pace, of course, coming from that hard set of tyre, but still trying to threaten for the lead of the Grand Prix early on here.
I'm not sure what might have happened, obviously just going into turn 1. I'm not sure if we had to probably give the pace back, to be fair. But it was a good defence by Jack, though, to be fair, whatever happened. Going into turn 1. First seems pretty fair so far.
See,
contact since.
And that from Atsu. So, 2 McLaren's doing well. Of course, car allocated teammate doesn't necessarily mean your actual teammate in the tier of RP. Well, I'm sure our viewers obviously know that. But so far, Jack just starting to control things now from MDJ. Of course, MDJ isn't on that harder tyre, followed with Merc and Bashi. So they're looking to go, of course, much longer in their stint. So they're not going to be as aggressive at this point in time. But it could very much help towards the end of this race. As we see the tyre strategies. A one stop or a two stops mediums, and we see MDJ just have a little look on Jack. So clearly having some good pace from that Alfa Romeo here tonight from MDJ. As we see Ginger Tiger is in fact the only runner now on the softs. Of course he will have to make more stops to come in order to get to the end of this race. Fastest laps goes to Jack, 132.5.
Yeah, let's see who's got a reasonable. You sacrificed obviously the downforce to hit the straights.
Indeed, we see Joe Amster. Is that Joe Amster going around the outside? No, sorry, that's Joe Amster going around the inside on Daryl. So, Joe Amster 3 from Daryl. Of course, we're going to see a lot of these medium runners try and get their way through these harder tyres of the harder runners. As we see, a snap of oversteer from JPH. That's giving them an awful launch, and that allows JP to try and get alongside, and in fact potentially through and ahead of JPH, but JPH is still trying to keep it regardless of that, but he might have to settle, and he does settle. So JP into P7, of course on that softer tyre compared to JPH. What's going on back at the front of the field? Still no changes going as far for now. You see the rear lighting up on that Alfa Romeo. And could we see another look? We saw MDJ have a look down into this corner a lap ago, and he's going to have another look again this time, and this time he's going to take the lead of the race. So clearly great pace from MDJ is shown. Of course that DRS definitely helping him, Mikey, but he's definitely showing pace out there.
Oh, I'm not sure what's happening there.
Is that Joe Amster?
Yeah,
with
lots of positions.
Joe Amster in fact making a move on JPH, so JPH losing 2 moves on this lap, so that's going to compromise him. As a Ferrari of Kent going on the inside, has to go on the complete inside off the track in order to not make contact. Nearly makes contact with Darrell in fact when rejoining, so very tight one there, but Kent did a suitable thing to back out of that, otherwise that could have been a potential incident there.
I think Darrell is struggling here. Obviously just going on that left right then in obviously near the end of sector 1, you can tell he is struggling. Obviously with that Aston Martin, it's obviously not, I don't think it's to his driving or whatever.
Sorry to cut in, Mikey, but takes the lead now off MDJ. He made the move off Jack as well. We didn't see that on camera, but he's made the move now to take the lead of the Grand Prix. So very, very good positioning from Merc. And up into P1, Jack, despite being on the medium tyre, has lost 2 positions in the span of a lap here. So if you're starting on that medium tyre, you have to make it work, don't you, Mikey? Otherwise that's just pointless when you're fighting against a hard runner.
Definitely. Obviously tyre wear around here is not great, so you've got to do what you can early, get down the road as fast as you can, but obviously preserve your tyres as much as you can. But obviously just looking at this front 4 at the minute, it's within a second to obviously MDJ all the way back down to Bashi. Because obviously Bashi now try and do a move on Jet going through this sector, because they are so close to the end. So this literally just could be a DRS strain now, obviously just to the end, or when one of them pits, or if there's an issue.
Absolutely. The thing here is Jack has got now Bashi on the rear, and Bashi's dropped back a little bit as we say that, but all these runners around him are on the harder tyre. Now the 2 McLarens are getting it to the back of this little quadruple fight here, so it very much could be a DRS fight, but the problem is the DRS is quite powerful to a point, and we've seen it when enabled, allows you to get through ahead, as we could see Meg now take it back the lead into the corner, and he looks like he's got that done and dusted through and ahead.
Not a switchback. Oh, very, very close. And obviously in I think it was Baku, they were in the same car, and it was a very interesting race between the 2 of them. I think that's correct. One might have been Cameron Singh. So you do apologise if that is the case.
That yellow flag. Who's that? believe it's towards the back. Still a yellow flag. Is it Daryl? Could be Daryl.
I think he's got no damage on the front. I think he's just lost it.
Daryl potentially.
Yeah,
Daryl could potentially have maybe gone off MDJ though, back ahead. But this is what I was saying, the DRS is just not even keeping them with them, it's allowing them to get back ahead on the very next opportunity for these drivers. So they're so close together here. But Jack is just got to try and stay within this fight, because he's on these medium tyres. He needs to try and get himself through in the head, but that DRS is really going to hurt, as he said, in fact drop position now to Bashi. So the front three now on the harder tyre, so it's not working out for Jack on these mediums.
No, obviously he's now got obviously like Ricky, Atsu, JP and Joe all on those medium tyres, but like you said, at this point the wear it's probably what 10, 15, 20% at this point, just a slight guess. Obviously those hard.
Merck takes the lead. There's a little bit of a lock-up as that Ricky Maru's having a look on the Williams duo, and he's trying in fact to get through. Now Merck stays ahead through this tight and twisty section, but Ricky Maru gets in between the Williams drivers. So it's Merck from MDJ, from Bashi, Ricky Maru, Jack and Atsu. This little fight here with these 6 drivers. But this fight, Mikey, it's going to be hurting your race pace and your race trim, because MDJ is just taking back again the lead, but it's going to bring other drivers behind back into it, as we see a McLaren driver of Ricky Maru. He's trying to have another move in the span of another lap. So can he now take P3? He's on the medium tyres, so he's firing up those tyres much better than Jack is, but he's still trying to make that move. He's alongside the Williams driver of Bashi. He's trying to go around the outside. Does he have the grip to do so? It seems like he just about does. He's still side by side with the Williams driver. They're so close, as in fact Jack is getting alongside now. Jack is coming into this battle right alongside it as well through here. They're still going too wide into the corner. They're still touching wheels. They're still going. Jack just gets ahead of Ricky Maru. And incredible stuff. It's back to the 2 Williams, to the 2 McLarens here in this little fight here. Incredible stuff.
That was great.
Great racing.
Take hats off to you if you watch this back later, but that was unreal.
It might not be over there, though. Ricky Maru's going to try and go around the outside of Jack. He's so far got in the heads at this point, but can he keep it into the breaking point now? Bashi's going to try and live as long as he can through this fight, though. But Jack is still ahead of Ricky Maru. So this scrap is really going on here. It's so tight in this section that it looks like Jack is pushing Bashi along. It's incredibly tight, but it's still not over. As we see now, is that going to be a fight now for the lead? MDJ takes back again the position from Merck. It seems, Mikey, that these drivers cannot hold whatever position they're in for a lap at least, because they are making moves left, right and centre. Now Merck right behind MDJ. Does he get the DRS? Yes, he does. So another move could potentially come back. Is he just a bit too far back? Just a bit too far back into turn 1. But like I was saying, they cannot hold position for more than a lap. It's incredible racing we're seeing here tonight.
It's just like musical chairs, but with F1 cars instead. It's like, right, I'll have that one, you can have that one. It is pretty impressive. It's just, you know, it is really good. Obviously, I don't want to do the traditional commentator's curse and say anything, so I'm doing my best just to watch what I say, because it sort of always happens, so I try my best not to say anything. but to be fair to the guys, they're doing absolutely brilliant. Obviously, really close racing.
Merck's going again through. Merck takes back the lead. Sorry to cut in there. Through and ahead of MDJ. As per usual now, we should say, through this lap of Miami. But yeah, sorry to cut in there, Mikey.
No, that's perfectly fine, mate. Obviously, as I was just literally about to say myself, to be honest, I think it's what 2.5 seconds? Obviously from Merck all the way down to Atsu. So, and then obviously it's the same time frame. Obviously, between Atsu and JP is literally what the top 6 from. Oh, and there's Joe Hamster on JP.
Joe Hamster through off JP now, but It's incredible. You'd think of a track like Miami where you have these long straights, but then these tight and twisty corners, combinations of turn 4, 5, 6, and then of course under the bridge of 11, 12, 13, 14 and 15. You'd think that this little group would start to spread out, of course, with the dirty air, but they're not. They are still riding right behind and much closer. Of course, these new aero on these cars try to allow that to happen, but what we're seeing tonight definitely is allowing that. Of course, DRS is helping, but they're still showing that they can ride closely through these tight and twisty corners.
Indeed, but obviously the one thing, especially around Miami, it is very hard to regain off the likes of VRS. So if the guys have been done, oh, and there we go, there's MDJ on there, goes the left-hander, the long right-hander. But yeah, it can be quite hard to regain ERS. Imagine the guys are going to have to, you know, if they've used it or if they tried to keep up with the pack, if they've got enough that they might need it when there's obviously a defence or they can see an opening quite well. But it's, I'm not being, to be fair, hats off to the guys. Obviously, oh, there's Malc on MDJ again into the last corner. But no, as I was, little battle between Joe Hamster and JP there.
JP, yeah.
But no,
just getting past
these ties, there's just there's the medium runners there, obviously between from Jack down to Atsu, just trying to keep pace of two of those harder compound tires. It's fair play to them.
Absolutely, it's as a driver and even as an experienced sim racer myself, it's so tempting when you're in a battle like this to just use bit by bit more ERS when you're in a fight. You just want to, of course, try and stay ahead, but they've got to look to the long game, these drivers. But absolutely, but we are starting to see now the top three are starting to pull away from this little fight now. The top three are on the harder tyre. It's been line laps on these sets, so we could start to see now the mediums begin to struggle during these high and hot temperatures. That's a move coming in from Ricky Maru on Jack, but Jack's not having any of it. He's going to try and fight that back. Jack keeps that position, defends it well, and it remains in fourth place. Ricky Maru, though, still trying to get through that Williams of Jack. But as I was saying, these medium tyres now, the medium runners are starting to drop off a little bit to the harder tyre compound. So this is the point where we're going to start to see a few stoppers, some gamble for a set of hards, or if they're going for a two-stopper. This is the point where we're going to see gambling for a pit stop. As we see, MDJ takes back the lead from Malc. As Ricky Maru has a chance again. Does he have the inside from Jack? Jack's still there on that inside. He's not allowing that McLaren driver to get ahead, but he might have to fight this to the first corner. He's got DRS as well. Jack still remains in that fourth place. So Ricky Maru is trying everything he can to get through that Williams, but it's just not happening. It's so close. But Jack's just got a little bit more in the tank to keep him through and ahead of the McLaren duo.
Just looking at the back, it seems like a sort of a quiet affair, but obviously the closest battle at the back, I can see was Darryl and Sir Spud. So I'll watch to see what envelops there.
Next, going for the lead of the race again into the corner, the braking point, and he's through in the head. That's Bashy, very close. Is there something going on towards the back? Very close between Spud.
Yeah. And Darryl, just that long left-hander. Obviously, I think Spud might just slightly lost the back end a little bit. Obviously, Darryl's had to swerve, but he's then obviously had to give the position back. But fair play to Spud. He's obviously true sportsmanship. Just let him retake it. Fair play.
Yeah, fair play indeed. But lap 11 again, we're going to see another move for the lead potentially. No, this time MDJ backs off from it. It's Jack again trying to hold that McLaren of Ricky Maru, and he does so into turn 17, but can he keep him behind into turn 1? He's got the McLaren right on the rear. The McLaren pulls out to take the outside. Is it enough from Atsu? Is it enough, sorry, from Ricky Maru? And Ricky Maru trying to fight it. It's still so close from the McLaren and the Williams driver, but now Ricky Maru gets a much better exit, coming into the turn 4. Does he have it done? It's so close. They're still side by side through this section of corners. There's a little bit of contact, in fact, from Jack and Ricky Maru. But now Ricky Maru throwing ahead, but Jack looked like he had a little bit of a wiggle. I don't know if that was, it looked like there was contact between the two. But nevertheless, Ricky Maru now ahead of the Williams driver. And he's got the other McLaren right on the back now as Achu tries to take that place from it. And Jack now dropping 2 places in the span of a couple of corners now. So the McLaren duo ahead into the breaking point. But Jack is definitely going to want to try and reclaim his places back. For sure.
As soon as possible, yeah. But to be fair, it seemed like a really cool battle just through that first sector. It's just, I thought he'd drop back. I haven't got the size of the cojones of these guys, obviously. I would have just been, no, I'm not chancing it. But fair play, just to go for something that most people would be like, nope, not doing that. But to still keep going on it, fair play. Well done, boys. Nice little change of positions by both Joe and JP there.
Joe again. In fact, it's been quite a few times Joe has made a move on JP as well. But then we keep seeing him making that move. So JP is finding a way to immediately respond to Joe Amster whenever Joe makes a move. So it's a similar thing that's happening in the front. When the driver gets ahead, they're not able to pull. And the driver behind with that DRS can just manage to pass you again, as JP still following closely behind Joe Amster through these sections of corners. But he's managing to find a response, is JP.
I think he might have the DRS. Obviously, they're just using the DRS on both the straights. So obviously, just watching JP now. Obviously, if you can keep with him, obviously he'll probably use the DRS here. It might get past Joe. Oh, and there you go, Merck's just overtaking MDJ for the lead there.
Looks like JP just a little bit further back this time round on Joe Hamster, but indeed, yeah, Merck's back ahead of MDJ. And through into under the bridge, in fact. Here we go, tight corners, but you can just see how close MDJ is on the rear of Merck through that corner. So, incredible. I'm not really having to play. I should be placing quite a few bets here tonight on how many moves, because it seems you pass me, I'll pass you right back immediately. So the tricky question is, who,
5 minutes, I can get off you in a bit.
But it really is gonna. It feels like this is going to go down to the checkered flag. It's just racing, hard racing here as Merck again now takes back the lead. It's incredible because we really don't know. It's not a clear driver pulling out ahead and away. It's just constant racing, lap after lap, switches after switches. It's brilliant, and we're here to see it. And we've been blessed to see this racing without any safety car or VSC. We did have a VSC early on, but luckily nothing doing too much. But we've been absolutely blessed here to see this racing going on between these drivers tonight.
Obviously, so far, obviously, I know Malc would be absolutely gutted to be missing this right now, but obviously other things happen. Obviously, hopefully he should be returned soon. But yeah, it's just little wiggle there from there going to the corner. But no, it's the rate of racing. Obviously, just touch wood, it stays like this sort of competitive racing. But like you said before, when it comes to this club that to go to Wyatt, what's going to work? The undercut, the overcut. What is going to be the big factor?
Absolutely.
In getting that top step?
Absolutely. What this is going to be a massive question now. These top 3 drivers, all on the hards, but the main battle going on between Merck and MJ is when one of them pulls that call to come in. That's going to be a massive deciding point when the first driver comes in. Do you follow the driver ahead? As we see the first stoppers, in fact, Jack now. The medium runners, of course, still going, 14 laps, in fact. But between this little battle, it's going to be the question of who pits first. Are you going to decide to do the undercut? You want to do the overcut? It depends who you are, where you are in this little fight, of course. But every lap, it seems like the position is changing between these 2 drivers here. So it really is unknown. It depends how you get that through and done, but it will be a massive question mark. Yeah.
Yeah, or could they try and make the hards last as long as possible and go for soft running near the end? Well, I know it's a bit of an unknown territory, but you could do it.
Well, if we look, Ginger Tiger is in fact on the softs now. He appeared early after contact from. Well, in fact, we're not sure. We just had contact, but he appeared for the softs, and he's in fact in the pit stop now. But he's done 13 laps under high fuel. So, if any of the drivers are potentially listening on to the stream, they could take that. They could see that and potentially have a little bit of a gamble. Of course, we're only on lap 15 of 29, so just around the halfway stage, just past as MDJ goes past, in fact, of Malc. But it could be valuable to maybe gamble for a set of softs. So it's definitely going to go all the way to the checkered flag here. But Malc now still trying to come back on MDJ. Is he on the inside to take that? No, he is. In fact, as Malc still side by side has to back off from MDJ. But MDJ still holding on. There's more stops coming in from the back, or the midfield, I should say. Joe Amster and JP, and Joe Amster's going for the softs. Same with JP.
Are they going to do what Ginger's just done? Are they going to try? Me personally, if I was on the hards, I'd be going for the mediums. Okay, slower tyre, yes, but you have this. That security of it will not wear as fast. You will still have the optimum performance towards the end of the race, because you can't guarantee there's going to be a safety car.
It's a bold move for these set of softs, and in fact both of them as well, who were close on track. In fact, they were fighting earlier on. They both optioned for the soft compound tire. Now we've seen Ginger do 13 laps under what you would say as a higher to mid-range fuel level. We're lap 16 out of 29, so you have 13 laps when you'll cross that line of racing to do. Obviously, from Ginger, it's shown it is possible, but it depends. Is it a faster strategy? Are you better off going on the mediums at the end stage, being on that medium tyre? It really depends how you figure this one out, but it'll be interesting now as we see Malc ahead of MDJ, but that's something that's going to be watched upon from these two drivers. Will one of them go for the medium and then the other will go later, as we see battling, or Bashi, yeah indeed, Bashi into the pits along with Ricky Maru. So what time? Going on to Ricky Maru. Ricky Maru in fact going to the hards. Bashi going to the mediums.
Oh yeah, because Ricky was on
the yeah indeed.
It's an interesting one, but to be fair, on Monday when I raced, I think I got fastest lap on a brand new set of mediums. But near the end, the people on hard tyres were starting to catch the front pack on the mediums. So it might actually be a good move by Ricky, because obviously it's going to take what 20 to 25 seconds for your pit time around Miami. And is this, say, if we're going to say everyone pits, which obviously that won't be the case, but for the sake of the argument, distance between Malc and Ricky's exactly 24 seconds.
Indeed.
So if Ricky can get those tyres obviously warmed up, and the guys then go in, he could be onto something.
The thing that Ricky has for certain is he's clear, he's well going to the end of this Grand Prix, so it does allow him to have more of a, compared to the medium will start to fade in for the last few laps of this Grand Prix, but they'll still prove good grip compared to the softs at that stage. But with Ricky's case, he has that security knowing that these tyres are full well going to the end of the Grand Prix with a very, well, I'd say, balanced race trim and a very balanced tyre set to the end. But the question is, can he fire it up at this stage? That's the question mark, because he's going to have the McLaren now, in fact, of Atsu right behind him on the soft. So there's no doubt he's going to lose out to Atsu at this stage. But it's towards the end that will start to get spicy. But as you see this race unfold more and more, it seems like now more runners going onto their soft tyres. So we're surely going to see a soft tyre coming in from Merc and MDJ here. But another thing to point out is Merc did use an extra set of softs in the sprint race because he did have that damage. Yeah. So I'm just wondering, does he have that available to him?
Probably no. You have 2 sets, don't you? Or was it 3?
The question is, if he's got a 3, he's absolutely fine. But if it's 2, his set of softs that he's got to put on is either used or brand new set of medium. So that's a bit of a that's something we want to know. In fact, if that could be a bit of a big changing point for Merc if he doesn't have that set of softs. Maybe that's potentially why he's going longer on this set of hard tyres, trying to make those used tyres work. But I've realised in the past few laps, Mikey, it's gotten a bit grey in the sky so far. A little bit overcast.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. Obviously, could we catch a bit of rain near the end of the race? I could obviously throw it all in the air, but obviously Kent's coming. Always coming for softs as well.
Indeed, softs.
I'm just watching. Obviously, Spud's still on the mediums. JPH is still on those 18 lap hards, and obviously the front 2 as well. So, the only thing I can see happening is JPH will probably come with maybe for the softs in the next lap or 2.
Indeed.
But then, like you said, I know MDJ didn't come in during the safety car on the sprint race, so he's got those tyres like all brand new. It's just like you said, does it depend on obviously how much Merc wants to chance it, but obviously we just missed the fact that Joe's just got past.
Indeed, as we see, in fact, Atsu as well.
Barons.
In fact, Atsu getting through on Ricky Maru. I mean, that's not really a surprising factor. He's on a much different tyre compound, not even a medium compared to a soft. It's a soft compared to a hard. So those hards will take time to warm up, fire up, of course. And now, of course, being more overcast, it's going to take a little bit more time to get into that rhythm. But now even Atsu could be getting on the back of Joe Amster here into the corner. Pulls out into the inside, has to take a low curb on the inside of turn 17. That compromises his exit on Joe Amster. He will get the DRS though. Actually, rear wing open for the McLaren. Is he going to try and send it into the inside? No, he's not. Just backs out late on. Sir Spud gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, so that'd be for track limits, I'd imagine. Track limits. But yeah, no. Joe Amster 3. Actually 3. Ricky Maruno just has to get through this painful stage of warming the tyres up, getting it, and just try and hold on with the DRS. Because the more we go into this Grand Prix, the more those hard tyres will have an advantage towards the softs. But still, the leaders out front goes from Merc to MDJ. Jack in P5 with Bashi. Joe Amster, Atsu with Ricky Maru P7 and JP in P8. As we see, just a cut in, Atsu comes back around now to try and take P5 off Joe Amster. Joe Amster not having it, but he's trying to take back. His position is so close to the tyre, and he just has to back up as an overtake for the lead again. MDJ ahead. 19 laps they've done on this hard tyre, so they are still going for another lap around here. I think this is going to be very interesting. In fact, what this is allowed, Jack has been on the hard tyre for 5 laps. With those 5 laps compared to those 20 lap old on Merc and MDJ, he's brought that gap down to 14.2 seconds. When the front runners pit, they will probably be behind. They won't be probably, it will, but in fact I've just seen a drop of rain.
I was about to say that myself.
Rain, so the rain is indeed on its way. So is this why these 2 runners have stayed out for so long? The question is, how long can they stay out? If it's just a bunch of rain, a little drop of rain, they might still have to go into the soft tyre, but it doesn't matter for MDJ and Merc. Merc still tries to fight through and takes back the lead of the Grand Prix on lap 21 into turn 11. As the rain now starting to drop now. This is the point. You want to be on the soft tyre, regardless it goes into Inter. At this stage, the soft tyre can deal with somewhat of level of water, a few drops, because of course being much softer compound, it sinks into that ground. The hard tyre, especially 20 lap old tyres, are going to be very tough for these two drivers, so very easy to lock up, make a mistake, oversteer it. It's just an incredibly tough job asking for MDJ and Mick. The question is, do they pit now for a set of softs, or do they try and wait and go to the inters?
But the issue is that if they wait, obviously both the guys are going past the pit lane, but the thing is, either way, it's going to play into Jack's hand. He's now 13.5 seconds behind Merck.
The only way MDJ and Merck don't lose out to Jack, as we see Joe, is this for a set of inters? It must be, because he's on 6 lap old softs. So Joe is gambling here.
Yeah.
That's a good indication now. We can get an indication on how much pace do these inters have over the softs, as we see another car in, that's JP, and Kent is in. So the only way that MDJ and Merck survive this is if it goes into inter conditions. Jack will be praying it doesn't, because he will inherently take the lead, but something's happened in this lap that we've missed, because Merck is 1 pointing off MDJ. Are we starting to see mistakes creep in? These tyres starting to struggle maybe, because something's happened there. Either I don't think there's any contact, but this is the point now. The gap is dropping with Jack regardless of the scenario. MDJ's got some clear air now to just put in some lap times. If it's going to rain more, the question is, when do you come in? We'll get the indication from when the DRS gets disabled, of course. That's a massive indication. But as far as MDJ goes, he's not pitting, and neither is Merck. So I'll be honest, the last few laps, it hasn't really increased intensity that much. Normally we'd see by now a potential thing, but that doesn't matter, because this is going to be a safety car, and it is.
JPH is
JPH into the wall. This is incredible.
That is, he's pitting it. Bashi's coming in. So Bash, Atsu, so those guys, I imagine, will probably throw the inters on, get round, and if they can't catch for MDJ.
That's the question now. Jack is no doubt going to pit, so Jack will be behind the front runners. He will not, because on a safety car restart on lap 25, I'd imagine, when we restart, you're going to want to be on a much faster tyre compound. You're not going to be wanting to be on an old harder tyre. So top 3 are definitely going to be coming in. The question is, are we going to inters? Now it seems to be a lot more of a dry line showing up, so showing a lot more water, standing water. But we've still not gotten any confirmation DRS has been disabled. So for now, it's the question is the soft still capable? But as you see from this angle, it's a tough job to decide between this. But if I was a driver right now, I think still to be on an intermediate. I think the softs will just the way it's going, you can start to see a dry line forming a bit, but that could be either an indication because it's just much wetter, of course, on the offline where the drivers typically won't go, or are we going to see that start to disappear? It's just, but the question lies up front now. We'll have a look. They're surely going to be coming in to the pits as MDJ in. Merck will follow behind. The question now, is it soft or inters? I'd imagine it'd be inters.
I'd be massively surprised if it's soft. It looks like it's getting heavier.
It's progressively getting heavier, isn't it? Not by much, but it is. As it is intermediates for MDJ. Kent gets a penalty, I believe, as Merck comes in. What about Jack? Jack, of course. Surely it's going to be an intermediate now. It hasn't rained that much and that quickly, but just over bit by bit, it just suddenly starting to transition into pretty much intermediate conditions. I don't know if we've missed it. Maybe we've missed it, the DRS confirmation. I've not seen it pop up though, as we see. Oh, Jack getting a nice little wiggle out of the pit exit, but yeah, you can start to see now the spray forming. It's clearly intermediate conditions now. Sir Spud though, remaining on those softs though. He hasn't reached the pit lane yet, so we could see a stop coming in from him. But what that does do is it of course it bunches up the field completely together, which
Indeed,
brings Jack and Bashi right into this, of course.
As well as those two McLarens though as well. Like obviously that's what they were trying to do at the start of the race. As you could tell, obviously try keep with the likes of MDJ and Malc as much as possible, and then obviously but at the same time work at the Williams guys. And obviously for quite a bit it was back and two. But obviously once those mediums started to fade off, obviously Jack was able, sorry not Jack, Bashi was able to just get on with it sort of thing and just chill on the hards. Obviously trying to keep up with the likes of Malc and VJ, but just from start to finish, mate, obviously just constant, the same location, the same two drivers. The question is, who is the guy going to be on top? Is it going to be an early, obviously, I'll probably say another lap, give them time to just catch up with the safety car.
Could be potentially another 2 laps, considering where Nitro Gash is. He's got a long way to make to get up.
Oh wow, 1 minute 20. Possibly with the safety car out of dramatic. But what damage is he going to cause the tires?
Someone's into the pits. That's Joe Amster. He's on intermediates. Is that damage? Potentially. We'll see if there's a front wing ready. No, so it's a new set of inters. That's rather odd. But the intermediate tyre is not like a soft or a medium. They don't necessarily have a short lifespan. They're quite decent in terms of their longevity, of course. They can go quite a decent amount of laps. So 3 laps only on that tyre compound. It's a bit of a surprising thing. It's surely Sir Spud into the pits.
Yes.
Kent coming in fact. Kent surely will be for the 5-second removal. As we'll see if that car is stationary. No, it's not. So Kent isn't stationary. As for a front wing change, so damage on the Ferrari driver for tonight.
Oh. Yeah, a bit of a technical issue there. It just showed the Ferrari on my screen still being in the pit box, but no, to be fair, obviously going to the end now, if they just change the tyres with the conditions becoming more like obviously an inter capable obviously period, having the fresher compound is going to help so much, because obviously the way they've had to do when it started to rain.
Indeed, but the thing is, when it comes to an intermediate tyre, when it comes to a condition like this, where the track is much cooler now, everything is brought down with temperature and all that, you'd want to have a few laps under it, just to get a feel and just warm them up a bit. But like necessarily 3 laps older inters won't really be that much of a disadvantage, especially same thing for the wets. Of course, when we talk about soft tyres, 3 or 4 laps, that is a much bigger change in pace. But a little bit of an odd thing. They must feel maybe have a few laps fresher tyres will help. Of course, the drivers will have that understanding, but we're looking to have a restart at the end of this lap. Are we potentially? Kent and Nitro Gash soon on the end. Should be in this lap, of course, so we could be seeing a sprint of 3 to 4 laps, which will be, of course, interesting. But just a little look in the chat. Apologies for not having a little look at that. Good evening to everyone. Ren's saying that there will now be water at the fake yacht section, so they're getting, at least they're getting what they've wanted, so you'll get it. But even comments, just like Singapore, with rain this track will feel twice as long. Indeed, the main corners that will make it feel twice as long is these tight sections. You know, the combination of 11, 12, 13, 14, even 14, 15, 16, even it will make it feel slow. And the fast, 4, 5, 6, these corners will make it feel like an absolute pain. Especially the long left-hander of 7 and 8. That will make it feel like an eternity. But it's going to be interesting when we restart this, because we've seen MDJ and Malc absolutely, they've shown their pace up front. But when it comes to a change in the middle of a race like this, now we could see an absolute fluctuation of who's got that upper advantage on just general pace. Maybe Bashi's got something a little bit extra to Merc and MGJ. It's always a question mark when we come into a Grand Prix that's dry, and then of course the conditions change. So setups could be a factor. Who's got a little bit more downforce, maybe that will help, of course, in the rain. Much easier to slow the car down, much easier to get exit speed, of course. But I wouldn't write this off for MDJ and Merc to be the ones for the win here tonight, because this is now giving them another challenge with all the other drivers backed up right behind them. But anyway, MDJ now has got the task of restarting this race. Lap 26 of 29, MDJ from Merc with Jack following behind, Bashi P4 with Atsu and Ricky Maru, Joe Amster following with Daryl, JP and Ginger Tiger. Susbud, Kent and Nitrogash finish up the bottom three. And here we go for the restart of the Miami Grand Prix at Invictus Racing League, the RP tier, and he's gone. MDJ has restarted the Grand Prix. Lap 27, there's already an incident in the back. Is that two Ferraris, I think, of Kent? Is that going to be a safety car? I don't think so with the laps remaining. This is a right-on sprint to the end of this Grand Prix. Mecht is looking very feisty on the back of MDJ here. He's having a little look, but he's just going to have to sit back for these next section of corners. JP Hay losing out to Daryl, but in fact gets past Daryl again. So it's going so close as does that Jack, trying to have a little look on the inside of Mecht, but Mecht's going to have a little look on the outside of MDJ now. Mecht trying to get as much throttle response as he can. There's a little bit of an incident behind the field. I think Jack's dropped down to Bashi, so Bashi's getting ahead now. Merc right behind MDJ. MDJ trying to survive now these next few laps now. They're going to want to hold position as much as they can. There's no chance for switching around. The DRS, of course, deactivate at this stage. So we're seeing cars go so wide. I believe that was the McLaren of Ricky Maru going off the track there. But seems to be all clean and calm here. Quite a tight and twisty section as Ricky Maru gets the penalty for track limits, so that's going to be so costly at this stage of the Grand Prix with just 2 laps to go. But it's fairly similar. MDJ leads from Merc, from Bashi, Jack, 2 McLarens of Ricky Maru and Atsu with Joe Amster. JP following behind with Daryl, Ginger Tiger, Surspud and Nitrogash. Kent, though, being our latest retiree after an incident on the restart just on the final corner. I believe that was with Nitrogash as well, so that's why he's down 5.3 seconds off the nearest rival. But lap 28, 2 full laps to go on the provisional lap here for MDJ. Trying to do
make a move on Ginger there.
I'll have a look at Sir Spud. Sir Spud gets through past Ginger Tiger. That Red Bull going to be much easier to control on a track like this than the Alpine. If we go back to the front of the field, Nitrogash into the pits. I wonder if that's for a fresh set of inters, maybe try and do fastest lap.
And of course, brand new wing as well.
Brand new wing, yeah. They won't be going for fastest lap though, however, of course, because we've had laps under the dry, so the dry times will be much more of an optimum fastest lap.
1 minute 31.2. That's held by Joe.
Always Ricky Murray making a way through from Bashi. Where's Bashi? He's going to have to just hold back from Ricky Maru. Ricky Maru, though, is going to hurt heavily with that penalty. He's got to try and clear as many cars as he can with that delta time of 3 seconds being added to the end of this race. So it's all to the wire here now, Mikey. It's anyone's race win, but MDJ is showing strong at this stage of the Grand Prix. But don't let that rule Merc down, because he's just 3 tenths behind him.
Oh, indeed. Obviously, like we said earlier, in regards to the likes of DRS, obviously with the guys not having that DRS to utilise, obviously to go for the overtake, they've got to be they've got to manage any ERS they've got. Obviously, going on to the last lap now, it's going to be that 1 lap shootout. Have they got one in the ERS or whatever in the tank to do the job?
Indeed. If we have we saw a little bit of an onboard. It looks like on the upper hand of ERS at this stage in the Grand Prix.
Switchback, sorry.
Is that from Bashi and Atsu? Atsu, as a yellow flag. JP's out.
JP's gone.
JP's gone. What's happened there? As the nearest rival just not close enough.
Turn 3.
And sorry to interrupt, Merc goes down the inside on MDJ. Can he make them done? No, he can't. Of course, there's no DRS, so he's going to have to do the work all himself here. It's the final lap of the Miami Grand Prix here, but it's going down to the wire. And Merc having much more ERS than MDJ. There's no need to tyre save at this point. It's all to the end. Same tyres.
What a move.
Joe gets through of this duo. It's all happening at the end of this Grand Prix. Merc is going to have to try and survive these next few corners and that long straight. He's got 2 tenths separating them into this section, as you see how close Merc is, right on the back of MDJ. Is it going to be another photo finish to the line? We've seen it quite a few times this week happening here through the final few corners. Merc is going to give it absolutely everything he can. He's got 2 tenths separated. He's bringing that gap down bit by bit. Has he got enough? He's going to try and go around the outside of MDJ. Is it enough? No, it's not. MDJ switches it there. Does Merc have enough grip? He does. He's clutching him. Is it enough? It's so close to the line. They're touching, but it doesn't matter. MDJ will keep the position. Jack finishes in P3 with Ricky Maru behind. Incredible. I'm going to try and catch my breath there. But Ricky Maru finishes. Ricky Maru finishes P4. Joe Amster for P5 with Atsu P6. Bashi finishes P7 with Daryl P8. Following from Ginger Tiger. Susbud will finish the top 10. And following that will be Nitro Gash, the last of the runners, but he's made it to the checkered flag, and he will be finishing for P11. But that was an incredible race to the line. We've seen it so many times this week in Invictus Racing League. We've seen it in Tier 1 and we've seen it elsewhere. Incredible racing, but the driver of the day going to Joe Hamster, making up the most positions through tonight's Grand Prix. But wow, that was some sort of finish, Mikey.
Oh, it was unreal. I'm not gonna lie, at the very end I actually thought Merc was gonna get him on the outside, but that was just unreal. Like, from the pair of them, just, I think what was it, 1.8 seconds was the furthest the pair of them were literally from each other. That whole race, 1.8 seconds
was incredible.
That was just mental.
It was incredible as well. We've seen Mikey and sorry, not we've seen MDJ. We've seen MDJ, of course, with Merc fighting alongside so hard through tonight's Grand Prix. As you can see, the results for the weekend, of course, combining the two. But for the main Grand Prix, of course, MDJ holds on with just 0.04 of a second splitting the two. MDJ will take victory here in Miami tonight with Merc right behind. Jack will finish off in P3 with Ricky Maru behind. Joe Amster finishes that top 5 position with Atsu close behind. Bashi for P7 with Daryl, Ginger Tiger and Sir Spud taking 10th. Nitro Cash the last of the finishers with JP, Kent, JPH being our retirees. So that was some sort of race, but yeah, it was absolutely incredible. But we'll try and get now some comments from the podium finishers, of course, and see if we can get a talk to MDJ. I'm sure MDJ will be up for it. But yeah, what a Grand Prix that was. I'm glad to have been commentating tonight with that. But that was an incredible race. I'm sure Malc would have missed that as well, with his amazing 3 in a bed moment. But
he would have been having a heart attack jumping from that.
Oh, it was absolutely incredible. But we'll try and see if we can get more drivers into. We've got MDJ, I believe, into the commentary box. But of course, Merc is on a different platform, so it might not be possible. We'll have a look and do our best.
Yeah, Merc has a PlayStation account, so he can join.
Oh, okay, brilliant. So we can get Merc in, and potentially Jack. Maybe Jack might potentially have one as well. If we can try and see if we can get them in. Mikey, if you could potentially try and see if you can maybe get in Merc.
think that's Merc. Not sure if we can get Jack in though, but I'll try to get some comments from.
Well, nevertheless, we've got a driver in the commentary box, so we'll start with the race winner, of course, MDJ. That was an incredible Grand Prix. It was switching position lap after lap. At any point, we could not say who had the best chances of winning that one. It was down to the line even between yourself and Merc. How was it essentially?
Yeah, I mean, it was weird. I mean, with starting last in sprint, fighting my way to the front with a bit of wing damage was hard enough, and then when the rain came out in the main race, I thought I lost it all. I thought I was going to be somewhere in the top 5 as I'm very slow, and my low wings didn't help as well. So I was thinking I was going to fall back, but I managed to stay ahead of Merckx for some reason. I don't know why, but yeah, it was very close on the right before the finish, and still managed to get it.
Yeah, we saw all the switches between yourself and Merc. It really seemed like, it was really good racing between the two of you. You left the room, you knew it's a long way to go in the Grand Prix, and you just kept switching back and forth. So you clearly had the pace as well to pull away from the likes of Bashi and Jack. But after, it looked like it was starting to become quite an odd factor that you and yourself with Merc, you stayed out quite late on those hard tyres. Was that because you knew the rain was incoming? Because we saw others pit earlier going for mediums and softs, so it seemed like it was going to be just a finish to the end.
Well, I did get the message from Jeff that there was going to be rain. I was hoping there wasn't, but it went from 10 minutes to 5 minutes to it will be here soon. So I knew it was going to come any minute. So I stayed out because of it, and Merckx had the same idea, I think. So yeah.
Absolutely. Well, one thing you can never put your money on with Jeff is knowing whether that information is going to be fully accurate or not. But nevertheless, when that rain did come, did you think that it could maybe switch things between yourself and Merc? Maybe Merc would be having more of an upper hander, or maybe yourself. Was that something that you were a bit concerned about, or did you think it's still going to be a right end finish between you and Merc?
Yeah, I thought that Merckx would have won the race, like with a big margin, as he has higher wings than me. So it's easier to drive in the rain for him compared to me. So yeah, I thought he was gonna overtake me really quick.
Absolutely, yeah. The higher wings much more of a suitable setup for the rain. But next week, anyway, you've got Hungary coming up. So how are you figuring out to go into Hungary? Of course, now with a race win here, you could try and pull it off. You started towards the back in the sprint this week. Can you try and do it again next week?
Yes, I will try.
Absolutely. Hungary, of course, though, much tougher though to make your way through the grid. But nevertheless, that was a brilliant race from yourself, from our driver here, MDJ. Brilliant racing from you, and well deserved from the victory. Well done.
Thank you.
Well, that was MDJ, ladies and gentlemen. I believe we also have another driver in under a different PSM. Is that Merc?
Yeah.
Okay, so great. We've got Merc as well now. Second place finisher. Merc, that was a tough race between yourself and MDJ. It was battling all the way to the end. Of course, it was brilliant racing though between yourself and him. How did you find that?
Yeah, a good race. Always good battles with Jess. So yeah, that was good. Well, it was just trying to pull away from the other guys, so you can kind of have a bit of a better battle, should we say. But yeah, no, it was a good race.
Absolutely, it was, well, it was right into the line. But you seem to follow that strategic call of MDJ when the rain was coming in. Was that more of just follow what he does, or were you also just going to do the same thing, wait for that rain and pit for the inters or the softs if it would be when the rain comes?
Yeah, I think as soon as I came through, I'd say it was 10 minutes, it was coming in. I think, yeah, both me and MDJ had the same idea and was just to kind of hold out. And yeah, the chances of safety car late on in a race is also high, so there's also that bonus. But yeah, no, it was just waiting out until the rain.
Absolutely, yeah. It was still, nevertheless, from the very start onwards to the end, tight between you two. But next week you figure yourself into Hungary. How do you feel about that? Strong track for you?
Yeah, I like Hungary. It's a good track. Going to be difficult to overtake. So yeah, it will be interesting. And yeah, you can't really run low wings at that track, as yeah, you'll be nowhere for 99% of the lap. So yeah, it'll be interesting. And I think it'll be a lot more strategies that will be the big play.
Of course, and Hungary being a much more tighter track at points, harder to overtake, so safety cars could be a massive factor. But Hungary as well is a brilliant track for racing. We can see it sometimes. But from yourself, thank you very much, Max. Brilliant race from tonight. It was equally well deserved with MDJ. Brilliant Grand Prix overall, though. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you very much. I believe we managed maybe to get Jack in. I'm not sure.
I have asked for some comments, but unfortunately I've not received anything. So I'm not too sure we might get anything from him, but you know, fair play to him to just try and keep on to the guys near the end there. But overall, like you said, absolutely brilliant Grand Prix from the guys. Obviously, maybe one or two things that might end up with the stewards, we'd imagine. But other than that, like you said, it was absolutely brilliant bit of racing between all the guys. So hats off to you fellas, and obviously congratulations to both obviously MDJ and Merck for that just stellar performance from start to finish.
Of course, yeah. It was they produced some brilliant overtakes tonight, switching it through. As well, of course, the other drivers, they all produced some brilliant Grand Prix. We didn't see many safety cars. We saw, of course, one in the sprint and one in the main race. But the level of incidents, they weren't that high when you think about all the overtakes that happened during tonight. And it was brilliant to be able to witness that sort of racing where it was just pure on-track battling. And it was very, very clean, which is what we'd like to see. But yeah, but if we have a little look at the comments, we see Kelvin saying he'll take 10th place. So I believe that was that Spud who took 10th. So I believe Kelvin Spud. So he's happy with 10th. Renz says might have been a few incidents, but that is the nature of the track. Absolutely. Miami with those tight and twisty corners in some sections and then breaking up into the long straights. Can pose those. Kelvin as well. Such a hard race. Absolutely. With Ivan saying what a race. So it was indeed an incredible Grand Prix we've witnessed here tonight. I'm sure Malc would be missing it completely, but I've had the honours to commentate tonight with you, Mikey, and it'll look the same way for next week. But from my side, thank you very much. This has been Invictus Racing League for the RP division, and we'll catch you next time. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Good night.